Japan, the magical country that everyone seems to want to visit these days and can't get enough of. Be it because of the amazing architecture, the kind people, or the copious amounts of good foods and drinks to enjoy. In this video, I'm gonna give you 10 tips and tricks that I had to learn my first month here in Japan, so that it'll make your stay much easier. So let's get right into tip number 1. Respect the social norms. We've all seen those videos of people coming to Japan and acting like absolute hooligans. They have this kind of main character syndrome where they think the world revolves around them. And even though the Japanese people might be a little timid and non-confrontational, you shouldn't take advantage of it. Just because you can possibly f*** around and not necessarily find out, doesn't mean you have to be an absolute piece of, you know the rest. So just take my advice, see how people act, and just try to adapt to the social norms. I'm not saying you can't have fun. Trust me, you can have fun. You can just also have fun, not at the cost of others. Tip number 2 is learn some basic Japanese. You don't have to be fluent. Obviously, we do have Google Translate, which does the job for you if you really need to be at more advanced level. But just learning a few basic sentences really helped me personally. Being able to, ask what something is called in Japanese so I can remember it in the future, or just not having a big awkward half-fest don't know how to say this in Japanese. You obviously can't say it back to me in English, so what do? You shouldn't expect to come here and have everyone just speak your language. If you're in a foreign country, obviously they're gonna speak their language, not yours. So just do yourself a favor. If you really want to ease your trip, spend a month, maybe 2, just learning just a few basic sentences. Staying on the topic of Japanese, tip number 3. If you ask a Japanese person in Japanese, you're gonna get a Japanese answer. What do I mean by that? Well, I had my first week, I had to locate a 100 yen store, and I asked a very nice Japanese man in my very broken Japanese.
すみません、100円店はどこですか?
This man was so kind to me. He started Googling where this place was. I think he spent maybe almost 10 minutes before I was like I can see him Googling here, but I don't understand enough Japanese to understand what he's telling me. At the end, I just had to say thank you, it's okay, and go on. So what I'm saying is, if you ask for help in Japanese, you're probably gonna get an answer back in Japanese. So just be aware of that. If your Japanese level is not good enough to understand the answer, just ask in English. Tip number 4, getting familiarized with the train system in Tokyo. Japan, and especially Tokyo, is well connected with trains, and being able to know where to go and when to go is such a time saver. My biggest recommendation is obviously using Google Maps. Google Maps, in my opinion, is the best way to know where to go and what train to take. It'll even give you a ton of information, such as which car to take to have the fastest exit, what exit to take on the train station, and just so on. Use Google Maps. It's great. If you don't want to familiarize yourself with the train system, at least make sure you always have power on your phone. Because my second night here, I ran out of power. I had to get the morning train, but I barely got to Google Maps where I had to go, and I just had to repeat this thing in my head where I had to go, which stations, which transfers I had to do, and it was stressful. Do yourself a favor and familiarize yourself with the train system, or make sure you always have enough power on your phone so that you can get home. Staying on the topic of drinking and having a night out, my 5th tip is watch out for scams. Now, what do I mean by watch out for scams? Don't get me wrong, most places won't be like this, but there are a few places, especially in Tokyo, where they promote scams. Well, luckily I haven't tried this myself. I've heard horror stories from people like CDog VA who experienced going to a bar, basically getting drugged, and them trying to swipe his credit card. If you want to hear the story from himself, you can check the iCard, or I'll link the video in the description so you can check it after this video. Watch out, just have common sense, and people, remember, it's a new country. It might be 2024, but there's still stranger danger, and if someone really wants you to follow them to a bar, maybe second guess it and go to another bar.
Huge tip here. I forgot to say tip number 6, so here it is.
This next tip is going to jump a bit back to the whole train thing, because my next recommendation is get a Suica card. A Suica card is a lifesaver. It's so easy. It's easy to get. You can get it at basically every train station, especially here in Tokyo. It just eases your transportation so much. It works with both trains and buses. So easy to refill this instead of having to buy individual tickets every time you have to go somewhere. And if you have an iPhone, you can even have it as an app. If you do download it as an app, just make sure you have power on your phone. It would be so bad if you standing there and you don't have power and you can't get home because you didn't bring your physical Suica card. So although you can't get a digital version on the iPhone, I still recommend having the physical version. But yeah, the Suica card is amazing. It's just like any other Metro card basically. You tap in at the station, and you tap out when you're at your destination. And you can even use it on the train station as like a credit card. So if you see the vending machines at the train station, get yourself a drink with the Suica card.
Yeah, it's me again. I don't know why I stopped saying the number, but
This next one is a quick one, but it's a useful one. Some places in Japan still don't take credit cards and such, so you will need cash at some point. But where do you get cash? You can probably get it at the airport when you arrive, you can bring it from home, but if you ever run out of cash, basically any convenience store has an ATM, be it 7-Eleven, Lawson, Family Mart, and probably even more than that. They basically all have an ATM, so if you need cash, just go to one of those. There's a ton of them and they're spread evenly around, so it shouldn't be too far to your nearest convenience store. The next step is prepare yourself for the weather. Being from the Nordic countries in Europe, I expected arriving in October with the degrees being like 10 Celsius, which I think is like 50 Fahrenheit for you Americans out there. So I was really happy that I got to Google what the average temperature in Japan around October was before going. As it turns out, it's more like 20 degrees plus. So what I'm saying is just do some research before you're going. I'm happy I didn't bring my big winter coat arriving in 25 degrees. Plus the weather here, especially now in November, is very strange. It goes from being stupid cold to being stupid hot from day-to-day basis. Just do some research before going so you know what to pack and what not to bring. My penultimate tip is don't sleep on good walking shoes. When I first arrived, I arrived in well-worn shoes that I've been using for years that I thought was going to be good enough, but turns out with how walkable city Tokyo especially is, just the first week the old shoes I had brought almost destroyed my feet. And I say destroyed, I got quite a few blisters and stuff like that. I won't go into details, but get some shoes that are fitted for your feet and that you can walk long distances in those shoes. And my last tip, be open to try new things. This might seem like a given, but Japan has a lot of weird, crazy, and cool things to offer. Arrive here with an open mind, be open to try new things, try new foods. You might not like all of it, but at least you tried it, and who knows, maybe you'll find your new favorite dish or your new favorite thing to do. But with everything Japan has to offer, you just gotta have an open mind, get out there, try some stuff, and experience what this country has to offer you. Because if you don't, you'll probably go home and you'll regret not doing more. Those were my 10 tips that I had to learn the hard way my first month here, so I hope you guys enjoyed them. I hope they were helpful to you, and if you want a part 2, let me know. I have a few more that I didn't include in this one because I didn't want to make it too long. Otherwise, I have more Japan content on this channel and I plan to release much more in the future, so subscribe to catch up with that. That'll be it for me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. YouTube really thinks you'd enjoy this video, so consider clicking right here. Right here.